We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US President-elect Donald Trump speaks to Russian President Putin, advises against escalation in Ukraine. Japan's parliament to convene special session of the National Assembly, Ishiba's re-election as PMI'd. Justice Sanjiv Khanna to take oath as the 51st Chief Justice of India to succeed Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, who retired on Sunday. The 29th annual UN climate negotiations COP29 to begin in Azerbaijan's capital Baku, climate finance top on agenda. And in sports, South Africa beats India in second T20 international in Gueberha to level series 1-1. On to the top story this hour. It seems Donald Trump has already started working towards one of his boldest campaign claims that he could end the Russia-Ukraine conflict within 24 hours of assuming office. The US president-elect spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin and advised him not to escalate the Ukraine conflict. Sources say Trump held the call from his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida on Thursday, just days after his stunning election victory over Democratic rival Kamala Harris. Trump also spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday, with Elon Musk also notably joining them on the call. Zelensky described the call as excellent, saying that he and Trump had agreed to maintain close dialogue and advance our cooperation. Trump has been a strong critic of the scale of US military and financial support for Kyiv, vowing to end the conflict quickly without saying how. Meanwhile, the outgoing US President Joe Biden has invited Donald Trump to come to the Oval Office on Wednesday. According to the US National Security Advisor, Biden's top message will be his commitment to ensure a peaceful transfer of power, and he will also talk to Trump about what's happening in Europe, in Asia, and the Middle East. In all, Biden will go through the top priorities for U.S. domestic and foreign policy. The outgoing Democratic administration of President Joe Biden has confirmed that it will send as much aid as possible to Ukraine before Trump's inauguration on the 20th of January. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky has stressed that strength and diplomacy must work together to bring the Russia-Ukraine conflict to an end and to ensure that such conflict does not happen again in the future. In his nightly video address, Zelensky said, and I quote, "We understand very clearly that diplomacy has no prospects without strength, but without a clear understanding of diplomatic goals, weapons alone will not do the job. That's why strength and diplomacy must work hand in hand." He added that this is the only way to secure a lasting peace and to prevent from conflicts such as the one Moscow has been waging against Kyiv from recurring, unquote. And now shifting focus to Trump's call with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who exchanged views on bilateral relations and geopolitical challenges. Berlin, in a statement, said both exchanged views on the German-American relationship and the current geopolitical challenges. The Chancellor underlined the government's willingness to continue the decades-long successful cooperation between the governments of both countries. They also agreed to work together towards a return to peace in Europe. Scholz had already congratulated Trump on Wednesday and urged continued close transatlantic ties, telling him in English, "We are better off together." Meanwhile, US President-elect Donald Trump on Sunday registered a clean sweep of battleground states, securing Arizona and pushing his total electoral vote tally to 312. While his Democratic rival Kamala Harris managed to garner 226 votes. Apart from the thumping victory, his party is also on course to retain control of the House of Representatives. Having already secured the Senate, this means Trump will return to Washington with the strongest of mandates to carry out the policy promises he made during the campaign. Trump will be sworn in at the presidential inauguration on 20th Jan 2025, at which point he legally assumes the power and responsibilities of the presidency for the second time. And the Bangladesh army arrested hundreds of workers and supporters of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's Awami League party in a major crackdown ahead of the planned protest against the interim government led by Muhammad Yunus. Authorities also denied permission for the Awami League to hold the demonstration. This report provides this in context.
Donald Trump's victory in the US presidential election and the comments he had made about atrocities against Hindu and other minorities in Bangladesh have emboldened the ousted Awami League.
We will defeat radical Islamic terrorism. When I'm president, we will stand shoulder to shoulder with India in sharing intelligence.
The Awami League on Saturday had announced a program to observe the death anniversary of Noor Hussain, a slain activist killed in the movement against General Ershad in the 1990s. They had vowed to gather at the Zero Point, the center of Dhaka city, and had invited everyone to take part in the program with the picture of the newly elected US President Donald Trump. Awami League believes that the outgoing Biden administration had fueled Sheikh Hasina's removal from office. The interim government, led by Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus, has begun a trial of Sheikh Hasina and other Awami League leaders in a tribunal for crimes against humanity.
We demand the trial of Killer Hasina for destroying the democratic system in Bangladesh over the past 16 to 17 years. At the same time, with the interim government now in power, we believe they will establish a government by the people in the near future.
But the Awami League has countered this with a complaint filed at the International Criminal Court against the Chief Advisor of Bangladesh's interim government, Muhammad Yunus, and 61 others under Article 15 of the Rome Statute at the ICC in Netherlands. The complaint was filed by Anwaruzuman Chowdhury, an Awami League leader and former mayor of Sylhet. The party aims to file 15,000 cases against the interim government at the International Criminal Court for similar crimes. In messages posted on social media, the Awami League has said that from 5th to 8th August, in the name of student movement in Bangladesh, all leaders and workers of Bangladesh Awami League and its various affiliates, Hindus, Christians, Buddhists living in Bangladesh and the police force of Bangladesh have been victims of brutal genocide and crimes against humanity. They are clearly upbeat about potential support from a Trump administration.
I think it's horrible. And I think that we should be able to have a president who can go in there and talk about it and then fix it.
Extensive preparations are underway to file 15,000 more such complaints in the ICC very soon. The affected persons will file the complaints one by one. Bureau Report, DD India.
And moving on, Japan's parliament will convene a special session from today following the general election, with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba looking set to be re-elected. Japanese lawmakers will decide whether Ishiba remains the country's leader after his coalition lost its parliamentary majority in a lower house election late last month, while Japan's ruling coalition of the Liberal Democratic Party and its partner Komeito lost their majority in the general election. Ishiba, who called the snap poll after coming into office on October 1st, is expected to remain in office as he is expected to receive more support than his main opposition counterpart in parliament. The small opposition Democratic Party for the People has emerged as a kingmaker after the election, declining to enter a formal coalition with the LDP. Former Prime Minister Yoshihiko Noda, head of the opposition Constitutional Democratic Party, is also expected to be among the candidates put forward as premier. If no candidate wins a majority initially, a runoff between the top two contenders will determine the winner. And updates on West Asia conflict now. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said that Israel has defeated Hezbollah and that eliminating its leader Hassan Nasrallah was the crowning achievement. He said this during the handover ceremony at Israel's Foreign Ministry, which took place after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu fired Yoav Gallant and replaced him with the former Foreign Minister and his close ally Katz to lead the country's war in Gaza and Lebanon.
We defeated Hezbollah and the elimination of Nasrallah was a crowning achievement. Now it is our job to continue the pressure, and here we will work together to materialize the fruits of his victory by ensuring that the security situation in Lebanon has changed.
While the General Chief of Staff of Saudi Arabia's armed forces, Fayed al-Ruwali, visited Tehran on Sunday to meet with his Iranian counterpart and discuss defense ties. The visit follows the historic win of Donald Trump in the recent U.S. elections, whose promise to bring peace to West Asia. During his first term, Trump initiated normalizations between Arab states and Israel, known as the Abraham Accords. As per reports, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian spoke with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on call. Saudi Arabia is hosting a joint Arab-Islamic follow-up summit scheduled for Monday to discuss West Asia tension. And Mauritius held a parliamentary election on Sunday focused on economic and political stability. According to the country's electoral body, results are expected on Monday. Prime Minister Pravin Kumar Jagnaut's alliance, Le PEP coalition, has promised to raise minimum wages, increase pensions and reduce value-added tax on some basic goods. The opposition has also pledged to increase pensions as well as introduce free transport and internet services and reduce fuel prices. The election involved selection lawmakers for the 62 seats in parliament from a list of 68 parties and 5 political alliances. The party or coalition that secures over half the seats also wins the Prime Minister's post. Earlier this month, Jagnaut's government blocked social media platforms citing national security concerns, but lifted the ban a day later after opposition parties criticized the move. And Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council will appoint a new Prime Minister, replacing Gary Connell, who was named Prime Minister in May. According to a draft resolution, the Council will name Alex Didier Fils-Aime as Haiti's new Prime Minister. The 9-member Council agreed by consensus on 8th of November as the political crisis threatens further turmoil in Haiti. The Council's decision seeks to push out Connell after just 5 months in office and replace him with businessman Alex Didier. Connell has sent a letter to the Transitional Council asking for the decision not to be officially published. He also sent a letter this week seeking the resignation of 3 of its members accused of corruption. The two sides have been locked in a power struggle for weeks, with the Council wanting to change the Ministers of Justice, Finance, Defence and Health against the Prime Minister's wishes. Also, the country has not held elections since 2016, widening a political vacuum that has worsened existing security and health crisis. And moving on, Baku Stadium, located in the heart of Azerbaijan capital, hosts COP29 UN Climate Summit from today. 12-day summit takes place at a time when extreme weather aggravated by climate change, including floods in Bangladesh and drought in Brazil, is wreaking havoc. In such a situation, how much money richer countries agreed to send to developing countries to help them cope is expected to be central to the talks in Baku. In addition to the finance, 171 countries need guidance on how to use it. Also in focus would be on transitioning away from fossil fuels and keep the world on track to 1.5 degrees of warming. The COP29 overlaps the G20 summit in Brazil, where the climate issues are going to be discussed as well. And now let's take a look at other stories making news across the globe today. A tragic shooting rocked the central Mexican city of Querétaro late on Saturday as gunmen stormed a downtown bar, killing 10 people and injuring 7. One suspect was detained and the vehicle used in the attack was found abandoned and set on fire. The incident adds to a surge of violent crimes affecting various regions across Mexico, intensifying concerns over public safety as officials work to address the growing crisis. Two powerful earthquakes rocked southern Cuba in quick succession on Sunday, a few days after the island was struck by Hurricane Rafael that knocked out power nationwide. Two tremors were reported, with the first one measured at 5.9, while the second was stronger, measuring 6.8. Residents reported the quake felt as strong as any in their lifetime. Pop icon Taylor Swift emerged as the star of the MTV Europe Music Awards on Sunday, claiming 4 top awards in Manchester, England. Swift, who led with 7 nominations, won Best Artist, Best Video for Fortnite, with Post Malone, Best Live and Best US Act. Despite being on an Eras tour in North America, she expressed gratitude to fans via video. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. We'll give you updates on state assembly elections, as today is the last day of campaigning for the first phase of assembly polls in East India's Jharkhand. To promote gender equality and sustainability, INSV Tarini, in its global circumnavigation expedition, arrives in Australia's Fremantle after a 39-day voyage. And an exhibition on millets in Odisha showcases health benefits, highlighting their role in sustainable diets. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, Justice Sanjiv Khanna will take oath as the 51st Chief Justice of India at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi on Monday. The oath of office will be administered by India's President Draupadi Murmu. Justice Sanjiv Khanna will hold the post of Chief Justice of India till 13th May 2025. Justice Khanna has written judgments in about 117 cases in the Supreme Court so far, and has been a part of many Supreme Court benches that gave verdicts in important cases. In 2019, Justice Khanna was part of a 5-judge constitutional bench that said that in many cases, the office of the CJI also comes under the purview of the right to information. He was also part of the 5-judge constitution bench, which in its 2023 verdict declared the removal of Article 370 from Jammu and Kashmir as constitutional. A 7-judge bench, including Justice Khanna, delivered judgment on arbitration agreements and stamp duty. The Constitution Bench, which also included Justice Khanna, held that under Article 142 of the Constitution, the Supreme Court could dissolve marriages based on the irretrievable breakdown of marriage. In 2024, agreeing with the majority opinion, Justice Sanjiv Khanna also declared the electoral bond scheme unconstitutional. In 2024, the bench, headed by Justice Khanna, rejected the demand for 100% VVPAT verification and called the current EVM system transparent and reliable. In November 2024, he was part of the 7-judge constitution bench, which overturned the Aziz Basha decision given in 1967 regarding the definition of a minority institution. Division bench of Justices Sanjiv Khanna and SVN Bhatti refused to grant bail to AAP leader Manish Sisodia in a case under the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 and the Penal Code 1860, along with the charges under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Division bench of Justices Sanjiv Khanna ruled that telecom companies are exempt from tax deduction of 5% also. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will virtually participate in the 200th anniversary celebrations of Sri Swaminarayan Mandir in Western India's Vattal. PM Modi will also address the gathering on the occasion. Sri Swaminarayan Mandir in Vattal has been influencing the social and spiritual life of people for many decades. And moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Sunday welcomed Russia's first Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov. Sharing a picture on X, Dr. Jaishankar wrote, "Pleased to welcome first DPM of Russia, Denis Manturov, to India today. Look forward to our engagement at the India-Russia Business Forum." Manturov will participate in the plenary session of the Russian-Indian Business Forum in Mumbai on Monday, where the focus will be on expanding economic and business cooperation between the two nations. The first Deputy PM of Russia will join Dr. Jaishankar in the national capital on Tuesday for the 25th session of the Intergovernmental Russian-Indian Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific, Technical and Cultural Cooperation. During his visit, Manturov is also expected to hold a series of bilateral meetings with key Indian leaders to further discuss strategic cooperation. And updates on state assembly elections now. Today is the last day of campaigning for the first phase of assembly polls in East India's Jharkhand. 43 assembly constituencies will head to the polls in the first phase on Wednesday. High-profile seats in this phase include Seraikela, Ranchi, Jamshedpur West, Jagannathpur and Jamshedpur East. Jharkhand will vote in two phases. The second phase of polling will be held in 38 constituencies on the 20th of November. The votes for both phases will be counted on the 23rd of November. Also, political parties intensify election campaign for assembly polls in Indian states of Jharkhand. India's Union Minister Amit Shah will hold a public meeting in Jharkhand's Adityapur, Palkot and Thamar on 11th of November to highlight the government's policies aimed at boosting Indian economy. Polls for Jharkhand Assembly will be held in two phases on the 13th and 20th of November. And after 39 challenging days at sea, the Indian naval sailing vessel Tarini arrived at its first port of call in Australia's Fremantle on Saturday, marking a significant milestone in its global circumnavigation expedition, Navika Sagar Parikrama 2. The vessel, which departed from Goa on October 2nd, covered a distance of 4,900 nautical miles, crossing both the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn. During the 38-day non-stop voyage, the crew, led by Lieutenant CDR Dilna K and Lieutenant CDR Rupa A, faced extreme weather conditions, including winds of up to 40 knots and sea states of 6. Despite these challenges, the crew remained in good health and high spirits. The Navika Sagar Parikrama 2 expedition continues to promote gender equality, sustainability and global maritime cooperation. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. An exhibition on millets in Odisha draws attention to the health and environmental benefits of these ancient grains. The event highlighted millets as a sustainable food source, promoting their role in combating malnutrition and food insecurity. Various millet-based dishes are being showcased, offering visitors a chance to explore the versatility of these grains in cooking. Local farmers and experts are sharing insights on millet cultivation, focusing on sustainable farming techniques and the grain's resilience to climate change. Gujarat hosts annual Tarini Festival in Mehsana, bringing together celebrated artists in a tribute to the state's rich musical heritage. This two-day event held at the Tarini Samiti Sthal will feature classical and folk performances by renowned artists. The festival, named after the revered sisters Tana and Riri, has deep roots in Gujarat's musical history. This festival began in 2003 as an initiative by Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. Fireworks illuminates the night sky of Haridwar, Uttarakhand as part of Ganga Deepotsav. The festival is a breathtaking celebration that transforms the banks of the sacred river Ganges into a spectacle of light and devotion. Held annually, this grand event honors the Ganges, revered as a lifeline and goddess in Hindu culture. Devotees gather along Haridwar's ghats, creating a mesmerizing reflection of flickering lights on the water. Artists prepares for the upcoming bamboo music competition at the Chilika International Folk Festival in Odisha. This unique competition, set against the stunning backdrop of Chilika Lake, celebrates bamboo instruments, a traditional yet versatile element in folk music across many cultures. Musicians from diverse regions will gather to showcase the melodic and rhythmic possibilities of bamboo using instruments like flutes and percussion crafted from this sustainable material. And on to some sports news now. South Africa beat India by 3 wickets in the second T20 International at the St. George's Park in Guebara on Sunday and levelled the format series 1-1. This was despite Varun Chakravarti picking up 5 wickets, including dismissing crucial scalps like Henrik Klassen and David Miller. India posted 124 for 6 on the board and gave a below-par target of 125 runs to South Africa. India were in a spot of bother when they lost 6 wickets even before reaching 100 runs. Hardik Pandya's unbeaten 39 made sure that India set a competitive total. During the chase, the hosts were 86 for 7 at one stage, but picked up the pace later with Tristan Stubbs and Girol Coetzee's partnership of 42 runs. Tristan Stubbs was awarded Player of the Match. And the Hanoi Festival of Creative Design 2024 kicked off in Vietnam, marking the start of a 9-day cultural celebration in the capital. This year's theme is Creative Intersection. The Hanoi Festival of Creative Design showcases the capital's cultural industry and the creativity of its businesses and citizens. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lepakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.